And we're taking you live now to Sydney, where Prince Harry is joining the Prime Minister Scott Morrison, along with Invictus competitors and an Invictus ambassador for the Sydney Harbour Bridge climb. It looks like they might be getting some instructions for this strenuous climb before they begin their ascent, where they're going to be raising, I should say, the Invictus flag. I'm going to bring in our reporter Jade McMillan, who has been covering the royal visit this week. Jade, this is a highly symbolic event which says game on.
That's right. Look, all of these events this week in Sydney and in Dubbo and in Melbourne have all been leading up to the Invictus Games, which get underway tomorrow night. We've got the opening ceremony in Sydney tomorrow night, and Prince Harry, about to climb the Harbour Bridge there, is going to officially raise the Invictus flag, and that is marking the arrival of the Games to Sydney. And as you said, he's not doing it alone. He's expected to climb the bridge with the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, and he'll also have some Invictus representatives.
But I might just jump in, Jade. Of course, he is not doing this event with his wife, Meghan.
No, Meghan is taking a pass on this one. We have seen them together pretty much every event so far, but just the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, doing this event.
Now, I was actually looking at the requirements for this climb because I think you yourself have done it. It is a strenuous climb. There are some fitness requirements for it. And if you're pregnant, you do need to actually have a doctor certify that you are able to do that climb. So we're not quite sure what Meghan is doing this afternoon while Harry begins his ascent, but they certainly have had a busy day already.
It's been a very busy day and a very busy schedule so far. This morning we were out at Bondi Beach nice and early. The Duke and Duchess went down there to talk to people in the crowd and also to meet with a group called One Wave. So that's a group that combines surfing and yoga with mental health awareness, and every Friday they hold an event called Fluoro Friday, which is what the Duke and Duchess attended today. People in very colourful fluoro outfits, they go down, they sit in what they call an anti-bad vibe circle, which we saw them participating in today. And the Duke and Duchess spent about 20 minutes with those people this morning, and we spoke to some of the people who took part in that later, and they said that they were very open. Harry, of course, we know, has been very open about his own mental health struggles in the past. He is a big ambassador when it comes to mental health awareness and encouraging people to talk about their issues and, you know, find encouragement and comfort in one another. So they did that with the One Wave crew. Then they spoke to some people who were doing yoga on the beach. They even took a turn to wax a surfboard. And then, of course, the highlight of all of these events so far, which was the Meet the People walk, and they spoke to quite a lot of people in that crowd. Again, there was quite a focus on young fans. We often see Meghan and Prince Harry, you know, crouching down, taking flowers, posters, cards from some of the kids in the crowd. One little girl even gave Prince Harry a silver headband with a crown on top. She said that he said, "Thank you for that. That's for our new baby." So very stoked little girl at that event this morning.
Probably a good time now to cross to our reporter nearby the Sydney Harbour Bridge, Liv Casbin, who I believe might be with some onlookers looking to get a glimpse of the Prince as he ascends. Liv, can you hear me?
I can, Kirsten, and we've got some people here who have obviously put a lot of effort into some signs for the arrival of Prince Harry a short time ago. Congrats on the baby, it reads, and Harry, I love you. Prince Harry did arrive here just a short time ago through the side entrance. He gave the crowd a massive wave, but that was really it. He was slipped in that side entrance. But here to greet him again, Daphne Dunn. Daphne, you're back to see the Prince once more. You were, of course, at the Opera House the other day, and you got a glimpse of him again this morning.
Oh yes, a very quick glimpse though. He was in a hurry, I think.
He was in a hurry to get up the bridge, but you're hoping that he might come out and have another word with you when he finishes that bridge climb?
Oh, he might, but I don't know. I think that he's most probably at his wits' end now. He's had enough.
What about you, Daphne? Have you had enough?
No.
No, you're still here and still keen to see the Prince. There's plenty of train noise here, Kirsten, as well. I've also got here, and thanks for talking to us, Daphne, Jordan, who's from Campbelltown. If I can sweep around and ask Jordan. Now, Jordan, I saw you at the Opera House the other day. You were quite upset, weren't you? Because you didn't get to see the royals up close, but you're here back again this afternoon hoping to get a bit closer to him today.
Yeah, I'll come every time any royals come to Australia. I love them so much.
What have you got in the box, Jordan?
I've got a replica of Princess Diana's crown, and I'm going to give it to Harry and Meg's. Yeah, I can't wait to see him. I hope we see him up close.
You did line up for about, 7 hours the other day, wasn't it? And
one of the first people there, yeah.
that was at the Opera House, of course, so Jordan didn't get a chance to see the royals then, but you really are hoping he might come over, and shake your hand or go in for a hug, or what are you hoping to do?
A hug, and I hope I can get a photo. I know he doesn't like selfies, so a photo would be good.
And Jordan, you have come in from Campbelltown for today, and are you travelling alone?
Yes, I am. My parents honestly trust me, and I said I appreciate it to them, and I just love them so much.
Well, Jordan, he is hoping you get a bit of a royal hug a bit later. He is up at the Harbour Bridge at the moment. His Royal Highness all the way up there, embarking on the bridge climb, and we hope to bring you pictures if we're not seeing them already, Kirsten.
We are certainly seeing them now, Liv. We'll come back to you in a little while, but I'm now going to bring in another guest we have in the studio, Australian historian Kira Lindsay. Thank you for coming in. We're watching, of course, the team there climbing the Harbour Bridge. It is an engineering marvel and one of the most photographed features in Sydney. Are you aware if today's climb by the Prince is a first for the royal family?
I believe it is, yeah. So, but interestingly enough, we have the first royal visit on the bridge, or around after the bridge was built in 1934. So, in fact, royals have quite a long history with this bridge as well.
Okay, so you say 1934. That's a couple of years, I think, if my history serves me correct. that a couple of years after the bridge was actually opened, there was a little bit of controversy around the opening concerning the royal family, or rather the lack of the royal family's presence.
Yes, you know, this is one of these great scandals in Australian history. I have to say I love it. I love talking about it with my students, and you know, I think it's really interesting because it reminds us that the Harbour Bridge is both a point of connection and a tug of war. You know, that bridges often are like that. They connect, but they also represent a divide, a conquered, if you like. So what we have is this amazing moment in early March of 1932 where the bridge is ready, finally to be opened. And there's the Premier of New South Wales, a very controversial figure, Jack Lang, known as the big fella, because he's a really tall man. And it's fair to say that Jack was definitely on the far left of politics, and it was a very divisive time in Australian history because of the Great Depression. The country was divided, and there was also a group known as the New Guard who were very much on the far end of the right spectrum. And as Jack Lang went to cut the ribbon to open the bridge, out of nowhere came this man, a man on a horseback, on a white horseback, waving his sword in the air, and he got to the ribbon before Jack Lang could and cut that ribbon. Everyone was devastated. They dragged this man, whose name was Francis de Groot, off his horse and took him away and charged him. He was thought to be insane, and in fact they eventually found out he wasn't. They charged him with £5. He sued the police over this and was successful, so he had it returned. But you'll be happy to know, viewers and all, that the ribbon was retied and Jack Lang managed to cut that ribbon and open the bridge. And ever since then, it's been open, with very few occasions otherwise.
Now, Jade McMillan, it looks like they're getting a little bit closer to the ascent, but I'll just take you back to the special guest that Liv Casbin had earlier. Daphne, I believe you may have met her earlier in the week.
Look, there have been a few moments from this tour so far that have just completely stolen the show. They've been splashed on the front pages of newspapers all over the globe. Harry's meeting with Daphne Dunn was one of them.
We might just listen in for a moment and see if we can actually hear anything that's being said. No, unfortunately, the noise at the top of the bridge is just too great. There are clearly helicopters overhead. We can't get close enough, but what a backdrop and what a day to do this, Jade.
Oh, and they look like they are soaking in that marvellous view from the top of the Harbour Bridge. It's a pretty nice day now. It was very foggy this morning when the royal couple came down to Bondi Beach, but it has cleared up. It looks like a magnificent time and spot to carry out this opportunity and raise that flag.
Absolutely. Kira Lindsay, this type of publicity, you can't really buy it, can you?
No.
For Sydney and for Australia. And while it might have been the first time a royal has climbed the bridge, they're certainly no stranger to this part of the city.
No, indeed. I was just thinking as we were watching that footage about Francis Greenway, who was a convict architect, and he had the first vision of building this bridge. And in fact, he said that what would be superb, why we should build a bridge across the north and south of the harbour, is precisely for the reason to bring strength and majesty and magnificence to both the colony, as it was then, and the mother country. So right back in that first conception of what the bridge would be was about connecting Australia with the royals, which I think is quite interesting given today.
And I think the royal couple, or part of this itinerary, has all been about, not only showcasing some of those really iconic Sydney landmarks, the Harbour Bridge, the Opera House, the harbour, but we've also seen them go to Parramatta today in Western Sydney. They visited Macarthur Girls High School. Of course, we had the trip to Dubbo a couple of days ago in central New South Wales. So I think they're keen to show that they're not just getting around those really famous landmarks in the city, but also to some other parts of Sydney and regional New South Wales as well.
And it looks like they're doing their official business now. While we watch these pictures, Jade, can you fill us in on the other members of the party? There are 3 Invictus competitors, all from Australia, and 1 ambassador.
Yeah, so Prince Harry is joined by Luke Hill from Sydney. He joined the Australian Army in 1997 and he's competing in the swimming. We've also got Captain Ruth Hunt. She's competing in the indoor rowing and swimming. She's from Perth and she joined the Army in 2016 as a legal officer. The third competitor is Peter Rudland. He's from York in WA and he joined the Army in 1989. He was discharged in 2017 and he's competing in the cycling and the wheelchair rugby. And the final person who was accompanying Prince Harry and the Prime Minister on this climb is Gwen Shone, and I'm sorry if I've got that pronunciation wrong, but she is an Invictus ambassador, and her husband Peter served in Cambodia, Timor, Afghanistan and Iraq, but sadly he took his own life in February this year, and since then she's become an ambassador for the Invictus Games and for War Widows Guild. So a handful of very special guests joining Prince Harry and the Prime Minister as they climb up the bridge.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Games and the aim of the Games. It is about bringing veterans together, veterans to overcome, in quite a few circumstances, some very traumatic incidents that they've suffered while serving their countries. And so mental health is a big feature of the Games, and we'll be hearing a lot about it.
Yeah, and that's actually been a really big focus of this entire trip. So the Invictus Games are aimed at bringing serving and former servicemen and women together to help their recovery through sport from physical and mental injuries. And there we go, the flag is being raised up just now. So that is officially marking the welcome of the Invictus Games to Sydney. We've got the opening ceremony tomorrow night, but this obviously quite a symbolic gesture ahead of that. As I was saying with the Invictus Games, Prince Harry has stressed the importance of sport and I suppose the healing powers of sport, of bringing people together who have been suffering alone, and the power of bringing people together in those circumstances to give them something to strive for. He says it's not just about the competitors but also their families, and we've heard from a lot of families in the past couple of weeks who've spoken about the impact it's had on their and their loved ones' life as they see them, getting that spark back, setting goals, achieving things that they never thought they'd be able to achieve. But all along this tour so far, we've seen that focus on mental health, not only at the One Wave surfing event today, but in Dubbo, the Prince spoke about the devastating drought that has gripped that region. And he said that he wanted to make the point that people don't have to suffer alone. He said, I know that this region has been through so much, but don't be afraid to ask for help. And he referenced his own personal struggles and said that, the best thing I ever did was asking for help, and it's the strongest thing that you can do. And people actually in Bondi today were really moved by that. I think he relayed sort of a similar message to them during that anti-bad vibe circle on the beach, and they said that really meant something to them, that, it is okay and it is a sign of strength to ask for help when you need it.
So the Invictus Games flag now up alongside the Australian flag atop the Harbour Bridge in Sydney. 500 competitors from 18 nations are going to be contesting 11 medal sports and 2 feature events over 8 days. Up to 1,500 supporters, as in families and friends, are here to watch them. So it is a big event for Sydney. We're going to go back now to our reporter, Liv Casbin, at the bottom. Liv, how's your view?
Kirsten, could you just repeat that there is a lot of train and helicopter noise here?
Of course there is. I'm wondering how good your view is of the events above.
Well, the view of the bottom of the Harbour Bridge is fabulous, but no, I can't see much of the bridge climb itself, I've got to say. I can see a lot of people's backs of people's heads, and we're at the entrance to the bridge climb where Harry was brought in a short time ago before climbing the bridge and putting that flag up. So we've got a great view of where he's entering and exiting the building, and obviously people lined up here, Kirsten, are just waiting for him now to come back down from that bridge climb so that they can get another glimpse of him. And there's a few people among the crowd here that are very keen to present him with some gifts, including young Jordan, who we spoke to a short time ago, who's travelled in from Sydney's southwestern suburbs. It's going to be third time lucky for him, he hopes. He hopes he can get the tiara that he's got in a box here, presented to the Prince, to present to Meghan. And obviously we've got the war widow, Daphne Dunn, who's also here waiting for Prince Harry to exit the building.